Hey everyone, Mortgage Nerd here. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the markets as far as listings, inventory, interest rates, and the housing bubble, housing crash. We have a new fearmonger among us, Patrick Bet-David. I watch a lot of his videos. I like a lot of his content. He's really driving home this idea that the market is going to crash, real estate market that is. So this is a chart that he uses. Active listing counts on Realtor.com. This line on the bottom says June 2020. It's on the rise versus 2021. Remember, 2021 was the lowest inventory in history, the highest sales in history, an anomaly, an aberration, something completely different than we've ever seen in history. Yet he's saying it's going to crash because inventory is a little bit higher than it was last year. Still lower than 2020, way lower than 2017, 2018, and 2019. Interest rates back here in these 3 years were between 4 and 5%. I will be afraid when we see this line coming up higher, the same way it is between 2021 and now, coming up much higher than these. That's when I'll worry. Until then, there's nothing to worry about. So people like Patrick Bet-David, they say that this is happening, that the market's going to crash because interest rates are rising. But they don't understand what interest rates do. Obviously doesn't understand that the Fed fund rate has nothing to do with the mortgage rates. They're apples and oranges. The Fed raising rates that have to do commercial real estate, home equity lines of credit, car loans, things like that, slows the economy, slows inflation, which long-term mortgage rates like 30-year fixed rate residential mortgages end up going down when that happens. People don't understand this unless you're in the mortgage industry, and even then, not everybody understands how that works. So let's look. Remember, in the 1970s, we had massive inflation, so the rates had to rise. But then every time they rose fast, they dropped fast. Rose fast, drop fast. Look at that, from 18 down to 13%. That's huge. And a lot of people are comparing the inflation that we have now to this. Rates are gonna rise fast and drop fast. Look what we have right now, rise fast. It's gonna drop fast at some point here. All these recessions, the same thing. Rates, mortgage rates, long-term 30-year fixed rates drop. Even if the Fed is raising rates. I've done this many times. I'm not gonna continue to beat the dead horse. So here's something else to look at. Foreclosures, right? You need a lot of foreclosures for a market to crash. That means a lot of people are desperate and they're getting out of their homes and they owe too much or they can't afford their payments. Still the lowest in history. Remember, we're coming out of the lowest interest rates in history, so a lot of people financed in those low rates. They're highly affordable. You're not going to see a lot of people dumping. What about, they keep talking about unemployment. Unemployment just came out. It's still very low, which is staggering to me with everything they're trying to do to slow this economy. Now, let's look at this inventory chart, a little different from the other one. Where I would be worried, this is where we are now, so it's still at 2021 levels. Where I will be worried is if inventory is rising higher than this imaginary line right here. When it's higher than 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 peaks, when we get them all the way up here and it's continued to rise, I'll be worried about a market crash at that point. Until then, there is no evidence for it whatsoever. So that's all in this video. Mortgage Nerd out.